We've already been dealing with missing data to some extent regarding empties that are imported from a CSV, and we did that using the read CSV method above. But now we're going to look at missing data that's inside pandas data forms that already exist. So let's create a series with the missing value. Index 3 has an empty. And then let's use this isNull method to confirm when it returns a true at index 3. We can add another null value by using Python's native none keyword. So let's convert Jane into an empty at index 1. Let's run that. And now we see we have two representations of empties here. We have the not a number and the Python none. And let's run isNull again to see how pandas interprets both of these. Pandas interprets them both as null values. So there's two ways of handling null values in pandas. One way is just to drop them, and another way is to fill them. And we're going to explore dropping them first. We still have our strings names series here. So let's just use the dropna method without any parameters. And predictably, it dropped the first index and the third index. Of course, it hasn't changed our original series because we didn't set in place on this. So we can run not null again, and all the values are still there as before. Let's consider null values in a data frame now. Let's create this new data frame called dropdf. And we're initializing it with the third index that has one null value. The first index has 2, and the second index has 3. And just as with the series, if we drop NA without any arguments, it's just going to drop everything. And the only row that's left is our 0 index row. Now alternatively, we can use this how argument in here and tell pandas that we only want to drop rows that have all nulls. So you can predict what's going to happen here. The second row is dropped. Now remembering that we still have our initial data frame intact, let's add a column named 4 and fill it full of null values. And we can use this how argument on axis 1, and it's going to drop this fourth column again. Let's run this. Let's put our original drop df data frame below us here so that we can inspect it as we work. And output that. The last argument we're going to consider here is this threshold argument. And we can sometimes get confused over this, thinking that we're telling pandas that we want to only drop rows that have 2 empties. But what this means is that we only want to drop rows that have more than 2 values. And if I run this, you'll see what I mean. So the threshold means that only rows that have more than 2 empties are going to be dropped. Rows that have 2 or less will be preserved.